Hey y'all, I was wanting to give my opinion on this Monique thing. Um, this running Monique thing, this kind of constant Monique thing. The latest of which is the Netflix deal, where she said she was offered $500,000. Now I don't know the ins and out or the particulars of the situation. What I do know is there have been quite a few issues with Monique, and sometimes you have to ask, is it me? Um, Now, please believe me, Monique is not a joke. I, I mean, she tells jokes for a living, but she ain't no joke. Her role in Precious and the way that she rendered it was Oscar worthy, and so she got an Oscar for it. But um, it's my understanding that she has been in the business for some 30 years, um, as a stand-up and acting roles. So she knows that Hollywood is a game. Hollywood is a game. And there are millions, if not billions, of people wanting to get in to play that game and to do whatever it takes to make moves and to move up in that game. The Me Too movement has exposed quite a bit of what directors and people of power were doing, were how they were using their power to abuse, sexually assault, take advantage of a myriad of people from different backgrounds, different careers. Coming up, you have to deal with that. Tiffany Haddish speaks of how she had to deal with men wanting her to have sex with them to be able to have a few minutes on the stage. So it's not just like she said with Oprah. Harvey Weinstein or Weinstein was not a surprise to Oprah. Um, she said if she knew, if Monique speaking of herself, if Monique knew, then Oprah knew. Well, then you know the game. So I'm gonna start with the Precious thing. The Precious thing where the promotion of the movie, they weren't paying her apparently to appear at certain things, but at the same time, there's a payoff at the end. She still received an Oscar. Um, but I wonder what would have happened if she had played that game. In other words, no, you're not paying me for this, but I'm getting something from it. I'm getting free publicity for what I do, the things, the projects I want to promote, the story I want to tell about my own life, how I got to the point, how I dug that deep. What did I go through to dig that deep to bring that sort of performance? Um, there's so much. There was so much value in just the circuit, the whole promotion circuit. There could have been so many things done to recoup uh, and to monetize for her own gain, promoting that film. But did not want to do that, and she didn't feel like she should have to do that. Um, I used to read tarot. I don't know. Um, I had to I had to really kind of stop that because it's kind of like that's not a game. It is. It's there's something to that. And I honestly didn't know um what door that key was opening. But anyway, in tarot, you have the 1 through 10 cards, and then you have the court cards, the page, the knight, the queen, the king, and then you have the major arcana cards. But when it comes to the page, the knight, the queen, the king, most of us, if we're trying to improve our lives, will find themselves going from queen or king status back down to page status, depending on what we're trying to do. We may have been a big dog when we were in the secretarial pool, but once you move out of the secretarial pool and you become an administrator, then you're back at the page level, because there's a different way that job has to be rendered. There's a different way that job has to be handled. There's a different level of politics involved in that job. So you're back down to page level. So if you move from being an administrator to a vice president, you're over administrators. Again, you go back down to page status. You are back down to learning a new way of handling things, politicking, and that sort of thing. So Monique went to a whole nother level after Precious. She was no longer Monique, the stand-up comedian, the cut-up, the one that's not to be taken seriously. She was at a new level. She was supposed to be taken seriously as an actress. After that performance, people were checking for her real hard. But you're at another level. So you're back down to page status. And now you got to find your way of how to politic through what Chris Rock called in one of Kevin Hart's Real House Husbands of whatever Hollywood. You're now white folks famous. So there's a different way of politicking. In other words, there are more people seeing your face. There are more people getting to know you who had not known you previously. And so you have to then think, how am I going to handle this? She lacks diplomacy. Desperately. She needs to learn diplomacy. And some of it, I don't know this for certain. I've watched them together. Some of it, I think, and she always says, my husband, who is my manager, she always says that. And she calls him daddy. I think that's weird, but that's none of my business. However you want to get down, get down. Point is, I think that a lot of this stuff is due to him, thinking he has more cards than he does in this poker game. He doesn't have that many cards, so he needs to know how to handle the hand that he has, and he does not know how to handle the hand that he has. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. He does not know that the hand that he has. He's out of his league. As a matter of fact, he's not even a page as a manager. He's a pip card. You know what I'm saying? He's a seed. He's an ace. In other words, that starting out, great potential, but if it's potential. It's not conceived. So I think Monique needs to learn. I said all of that about Precious is because I think Monique needs to learn diplomacy. And she needs to learn, Cheyenne, get down, stop that. She needs to learn that she needs to learn how to choose her battles. You're not going to come out on top each time. What you want to strive to do is to know where you stand at all times. What do you have? What hand are you playing right now? Okay. I know that I can get thus and such with this hand. I know that, but I don't know what the others are holding. Um, but and I shouldn't even say that. She knows what the others are holding. They had the upper management and those in power: Oprah, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels. Those are this cat. Those are major players, but at the same time, there are other people who are, believe it or not, above them. They have learned how to play the game, and then she wants to talk about being real and sis this and sis that. No, Hollywood, there ain't nothing about Hollywood that's real. There's nothing about Hollywood that's real. There might be real individuals in Hollywood who have learned how to play the game in a way that they are good. Their conscience is good. Dave Chappelle struggles with that. And just by the way, Dave Chappelle deserves those $20 million, that $60 million he got. Dave Chappelle is a comic genius. He really is. Monique is not a comic genius. She's funny in certain ways, but she's not a comic genius. But what she did with that role in Precious shows me that she could be one hell of an actress. But continuously, it's somebody else doing something to her that is backstabbing, whatever you may call it. But what I call it, and excuse, I'm sure you've heard my stomach growl several times. What I call it is playing the game. She knows it's a game. She knows it's a game. But it seems like she wants to bully and push her way through and not play the game with any kind of finesse. You got to be diplomatic. You got to know how to, you know, when you got the upper hand and when you don't, and then how, if you don't have the upper hand, how can I get the upper hand? And until I get a clear vision of where, how I'm going to get to where I want to be, then I'm going to watch. I'm going to observe. I'm going to be quiet. And then when it's my turn to speak, when I've learned, when my knowledge has become wisdom, then I'm going to make my move. But it's as if it's never heard of that. And I don't think that it's her. I think it's her husband that is telling her, you deserve this, you deserve that, you don't deserve, you are Monique, you are this, you are that. Like I said, of course I don't know if that's true or not, or how that goes or whatever. But I know he's her manager, and I know that he's her go-between, and I know he's supposed to be the one to handle what the offers coming in, who's offering, how much money, considering all angles of what can be gained from the offer that they get. It's real simple. It's hard work, but it's real simple. Choose your battles. Choose your battles. Know when to be diplomatic. And in Hollywood, in politics, at a $50,000 a year job, it's always better to be diplomatic. Unless diplomacy is something that is going to be detrimental to you or your position. Diplomacy is not punking out or, not being real. Bottom line is you got to survive and you got to play the game. Because if you come out guns blazing, and everybody else is just sitting there like, we're just kind of walking around and all of it, it's going to look like you are the troublemaker. It's going to look like you are always the one making trouble. And if you would just play along, then everything would be fine. That's how it's going to look, whether it is that way or not. And frankly, I don't think it is that way. I think that you want to try and play the game like you want it played. I'm sorry, Sydney wants it played, but that's not. Those aren't the cards. You don't have that kind of power. You don't have those type of cards. Not yet. You had potential. You had great potential to do awesome things, but you are continuously allowing your career to be shredded. And it's a damn shame because let me tell you something, Monique. I ain't no high power, nothing. I go to work, I come home, I I do my daily workaday things, but let me tell you something. You are awesome. Your acting skills are off the chain. And I'm wondering if you hadn't just burned all bridges, scorched the earth, and salted it, or allowed your manager, who is your husband, to do so. So I just made this video because I am a fan of your work. And I just want you to consider when your husband comes to you and says, "Baby, what you have. This is what happened, and thus is the such and such and such, and they offer this, and I wouldn't. You shouldn't take it because you are Monique." When your husband, you need to contemplate. Okay, what can I extract from this? I know what they're offering, yeah, but then now, what can I extract from it? Some extra for me to take me up a little bit further up the ladder to the place where I can choose my roles and pick and choose now what I want to do and how I want to do it. All I'm saying, Monique, is choose your battles.